security codes?
I do. We're live. Oh my gosh! So here we are. Welcome. We are here at the Hoboken Historical Museum at 1301 Hudson Street in beautiful Hoboken,
Right.
and
Say that again.
this is our show, Hoboken Talks, where we talk to people. People talk about Hoboken. And it's been going on for like 4 years now, and we have the show out on YouTube and Facebook twice a month. And look at all these people talking!
Wow.
Incredible! Go check our YouTube channel,
Got some of them.
Facebook channel, and you can see the 4 years worth of people chatting. And you won't. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I'm Rand Hoppy, by the way. I'm the collections manager and the producer of the show here, and we're just really thankful to have our friend Jeff Trupiano.
You spelled it right.
I spelled it right when I. That's right, and he is going to be talking with our friend Karen Cool. So I am going to. I have to push the button to get them on the audio. And then, here we go. And take it away, folks.
Hi.
Oh, hi, hello.
Hi, Jeff.
I didn't just wake
So
up. I
good to
promised.
see you.
Likewise. I promised I'd be awake for this.
I
so.
jinxed myself because I shared the post and I said I wasn't going to talk about my sinuses tonight.
Oh.
But
Yeah,
I think
it's inevitable.
we should just talk about my sinuses.
Well,
forget about your life.
yes. No. What? Really, life begins. Life can end with the sinuses. It feels like it some days.
No.
So,
No, I want to know where it all started. Where were you born?
Okay, so I was born in Irvington, the birthplace of Jerry Lewis. That will.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that will
Now
return.
That makes sense because you are kind of like the Nutty Professor and Buddy Love.
I could
You
be.
really
Yeah.
are.
Right. So
You have
I don't
both
know.
those things going on.
Yeah, whatever ratio. I'm not sure what proportion of either. And I'm not sure I want to know really. But yeah,
Mostly Buddy Love.
Yeah. Okay.
But when you're at the health food store, you could be like a cool Nutty Professor.
Yes, but professorial definitely. Probably a little taking a pretense there, but no. But that is my background. That's why people. So I grew up in moved from Irvington almost at birth. I could have sworn I saw the moving truck and but that could be a past life. More like a wagon. A moving wagon.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so that's interesting because then we moved to Newark, which is where a lot of people, I mean, my last name was Trupiano, and there were probably other Trupianos there. So that was a fairly common thing to do. And that's
Look
me.
how cute.
I think that's me in Maplewood.
Come on.
Right now that's Buddy Love
Adorable.
right there. I mean, I think
man.
that's sort of a DNA. That's
Yes.
innate. I must have maybe I saw it already.
What are you
back
like?
then.
1 or 2, 3?
Yes.
Two-ish.
That's close. That's close
So
enough.
cute.
I'm
Where's
sort
that?
of. That's I think in it could be in Maplewood or it could be visiting an aunt's house in Queens.
Okay.
Lots of people in Queens back then, and my father's from Brooklyn originally. My mom's from Jersey City. So where do I geographically and geometrically wind up is right here.
Yes, perfect.
So so that works out nicely.
How long did that take for you to end up in Hoboken?
Well, counting the Uber ride over here, it depends on which part of Hoboken. So I guess I was in my 20s, mid to after mid 20s. But I'd been going to Manhattan for a long time, and I just knew I had to get out of suburbia. No offense to my graduating class of.
Yeah, they're all watching.
They are. Yeah, I can see that. All 6 graduates that are still admit to it. Yeah.
I can totally relate because I grew up in Bloomfield. So
right. Oh,
and
okay.
then moved here when I was like 22, I think.
Right.
So,
yeah. So yeah,
and I was almost gonna move into the East Village, but that didn't happen. And,
Right.
And this just happened.
Right. And the East Village, as great as it was, you had to. It was not only the Wild West, but you really
it was
you
a
had
little
to
bit.
you had to kind of hold somebody up to just to have creds in there and get an apartment at the same time. I did. Whenever I got stuck at work late, I worked in bookstores with my brother. So we moved to Jersey City after. Well, we went to California. We went to City Lights, and I believe maybe Lawrence Ferlinghetti was there. Somebody,
Wow. Cool.
Several of the poets were there, and we were chasing the Beat Dream, which was Kerouac inspired, of course, and William Burroughs was who I was reading right out of middle school. Is that what you call it? What did we call it back then? Junior high. Right. Yeah. Okay. So all of that, inspired that Westward Ho, and as cool as that was, and getting to my musical side of things, there was I believe Steve Reich was there, who had a percussion group ensemble.
You were playing drums already.
I was playing drums, and I had gone to a year's worth of school for orchestral conducting, but I bit off more than I could chew. I mean, you can't. Some people already know those instruments, and learning like 3 or 4 of them in the same semester was just like.
So you're classically trained musically?
Well, no, percussion-wise, I can get around, which is why I mentioned to you when I got here that I actually helped a paragon of the microtonal scene in Manhattan, Johnny Reinhardt, to film Charles Ives, who was very percussion heavy, not as heavy as Verace, who was the musique concrète guy from France. But that's what all the stuff that I was listening to anyway.
I have no clue about any of that stuff, so it's good that I'm interviewing.
Right? Yeah. Good thing I'm not. Okay. So what do you? By the way, what do you think of his? What do you think of Verace's Density 21?
It's the best.
Yeah, it's the best, right?
Done.
Okay, yeah. So I was listening to that stuff in high school. So being somewhere in California or even here. And that was sort of adventitious, but you get to know people here. So, especially from Manhattan, and they float through Hoboken. You know how many musicians lived here. I mean, Wayne, Horowitz, and just you name it, everybody. So, and they would come into the Farm Boy, which you and I worked in, right?
Yes.
So,
what a chapter.
Yes, so I'm flitting. I thought I helped my ADHD.
No,
with,
it's
with
good.
working.
I like
that stream of
just
consciousness.
Let it go
okay,
wherever
all right.
it wants to go.
Yes. Mind if I tap as a
you
percussionist?
Can tap. You are a drummer.
Yes,
That's what drummers do.
Just don't.
But Farm Boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's a story right there. So So completing that thing though, there were so many opportunities to experience like real orchestras and that type of thing firsthand. So I carried my love, my abandoned romance with orchestral conducting to being able to actually see performances. I mean, I was, there was Charles Warren, and a million names. I could just drop names until I drop.
Yeah.
Until I myself drop. Yeah. So, but
very cool.
Yeah. So that was great. But what got me into the field was you have to make a living when you're here. So I was.
I still haven't. Really?
Yeah. Well,
is that what you're supposed to do?
Make
a living?
I mean, if you want to call it a living, for most of us, then you can call it that. Yeah, that's. But I'm very informal with that term. So yeah. So.
Yeah.
What happened was I got in with a moving company, and Roy North, who owned the with his family, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Roy.
Roy.
Right, yeah. He was the original owner, and he needed somebody to help him move. First of all, his store, and second of all, because I did it, and I loaded trucks. I did, every odd job, every blue collar job you could do that would hire me.
Got into Farm Boy.
That's how I got into Farm Boy. Yes.
So
hey, Terry.
When did you learn about all that stuff, like all the supplements and all the health stuff?
Right.
How did that happen?
Okay, so I grew up with asthma, and it was pretty bad at times. It was allergic asthma mostly. Who knows if it was because the vaccinations schedule was all piled. I mean, it's all speculation, but it arrived from somewhere, and shortly after I got my tonsils out. So I made that connection many, many years later, if there is a connection. Maybe not, but there's that your body's it's a universe. It's a
Right.
it communicates with itself. It's not just isolated. I cut myself and nothing else is affected.
Right. Totally.
You're lucky if that's the case. But so they threw pharmaceuticals at you. That's what they did back then. There were inhalants. There were things that would keep you awake at night. The side effects were there.
Yeah.
And part of that was probably related to ADHD because you'd feel on top of things academically like for several months, and then things would just fall apart, and it would just seem like, wow, how did that happen? I must be, and you self-judge, because you don't know what it is. And there was no word for it. I don't even know if there is an official condition that way. I know that it broadly applies to a lot of different things,
right.
a lot of different things that people experience cognitively and that type of thing. So couldn't get rid of it. Went to a health food store in my hometown of Union, and I got a job there.
When you were how old?
So I was in just out of junior high school, I think. Wow. Yeah. So, and I was enthusiastic. I would go in there and ask a lot of questions and that type of thing.
Okay.
Right. But I mean, I had milk allergies. I had every allergy that. So as I eliminated things would get better.
Yeah.
But then I'd think, oh, I'm better, and I'd go back and I'd revert.
Right,
and that's that's maybe human nature. I don't know, but certainly my nature. If I could get away with it, why not try it again?
Right.
So I looked for that was just after that age, I think.
So cute.
Yeah. That was
a teen idol.
That was a teen idol. Yeah, that was.
The pants are
that
great.
was my.
And that's your brother?
That's my bro. Yep,
Wow.
yep. And my mother used to measure. Did everybody's mother do this?
Oh,
they used to measure our heights on the wall.
Yeah.
And that was probably the last time that she did that, because it's like, all right, come on, all right, we know they're growing, okay? We don't have to tell them, they don't have to tell us.
Cute.
We know it. Aww. So so that was fun. But for years I would feel like I'm getting better because I would take certain I would apply certain things that I would read, and I wanted to read more and more. By the way, my family's background is my mom was the library accountant, and she did a lot of other jobs there while she was doing that. And my father used to supply books to the library, so I was always in the library, and I was always reading like Beat Generation people, some of the metaphysical guys like Aldous Huxley, who his associates were far wide and varied, so they were you got to know a lot of different people,
right.
Krishnamurti and that type of thing, people that you'd at least want to be exposed to, if not deep dive into.
Yeah.
So knowing that there was an alternative way of looking at things led me to think, whatever they're handing me, there's got to be a better way.
That's great that you were able to think that and get into it at such a young age.
Well, yeah, because I would try some sports, and I was in marching band, which was like one of my favorite things, and that leads back to a lot of So I did the triple drums, and I had a photo of that, but I couldn't find it. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start playing drums? I'm being
so
ADD
no
too.
good. That's perfect. We're perfect together.
It's all kind of coming together.
No, we're diffuse. We're like cohesively diffuse.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
and don't forget, you were born on Jimi Hendrix's birthday.
That's okay. Let's
very
mention
important.
that. Right. Yeah. So
Look at that.
drums. I started in grade school, and I would do I would play marching drums. But then my brother, his friend Frank, who was an incredible guitarist, he eventually became like a really great Brazilian, like sort of bossa nova but crossover. He played with a band called Lisbon 70, which was about made reference to Lisbon, Portugal.
Okay.
Because that was that musical exchange was there.
Like Brazil '66.
Yeah, but not because they were in Newark, and there was a big diaspora of I guess a lot of not just Brazilian but Portuguese and everybody, everybody else really.
Yeah.
So we formed a band. We called it the 007 Band because James Bond. If you can call, if you're gonna rip some.
Is that the band?
No, that's afterwards. That's in high school.
Wow.
So that's me on drums there, doing my thing, looking like a Native American.
What
for a
band
couple
is
of seconds.
that?
What was the name? I don't know, but there were some real good musicians in there too, and that's my best friend Mark over there, who will probably see this eventually.
Okay.
Because I'll tell him.
Maybe he's one of those 6 people.
You know what? If anybody is, it could very well be him. So so that was. Oh gosh, why would I not remember the name of that band? But, you get in bands.
Come on.
Yeah. So it all led. We were in the garage, and we eventually got good enough, interested enough in our instruments to at least start and finish a song, and then it just it went from there because my brother would be in Battle of the Bands, and I would get on his drummer's drum set. And they would be, and I'd play something that I just learned on an album, and they'd be pissed off and say, "Get your brother out of here." Okay,
Damn,
that's my
you were,
drum set.
showing them up.
So that's when I knew that I could get better at something. As far as that goes. But still, asthma intervened. I was swimming for a while. I'm sure that I played, sandlot football, and I could run and do a lot of things. But
the asthma.
It would just. That was something that was always looming. It could just appear out of nowhere, sort of. It probably wasn't out of nowhere.
How
but
are you now? Like, is it gone? Or
well, yeah. I still have allergies, and I wonder. But I've ameliorated so much of that
through diet
and supplements and natural remedies that that it's.
Amazing.
I consider
believe it.
Yeah, I don't have it on a daily basis. Probably never will. And if I'm in somebody's house with like 4 pets that are very dandery, then I'm in trouble. But other than that, it's pretty good. Everyone has to watch their proclivities, though. So if you grow up with something, you kind of want to be proactive and be over prepared for a situation where you might encounter that again. I still have food allergies,
right?
So if I go to restaurants, I have to be real careful. And and recently I went to a French restaurant, which is all well and good, but I asked them to keep any kind of wine vinegar out of there.
Okay.
And apparently you make a poached egg Titan with any kind of vinegar, but they happen to use white wine vinegar. So I tasted it, and I started to feel a little bit funny, and I said, So anyway, I wound up getting a dinner for free because they didn't realize what they, I said, make sure you look at he said, no, it's white, but the communication gap was white wine and vinegar. White vinegar is different than white vinegar is grain vinegar, which I can moderately tolerate. I'm not crazy about it. It's not exactly culinary, as far as I'm concerned, but it's food science. Acetic acid, tightens up proteins, and that's anyway. We can go into that a little bit more deeply some other time, perhaps.
When I started working, you were already there at Farm Boy. It was so hilarious because everyone who knew me back then was like, what? Like, she can boil water and make pasta and then put like a cold jar of ragu sauce on it. That's like basically
well, that's that's Hoboken.
I did learn a lot there, though.
Sure.
I actually really loved that. I did turn orange, though, because I drank so much carrot juice.
There you go.
It was good.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, that's great. That's a great
That
tell.
was a fun time, though. That's where I met Jim Rado.
Right.
And all those guys.
Sure.
When they used to come in, when the tables were in the back. That
was
was
there was
amazing.
Cognoscenti. There's something
Yeah.
fierce. There,
Really cool.
all-star Hobokenites. I remember Chris Cooper used to come in.
Who's that? I don't know.
Well, I think he's a John Sayles type of actor.
Okay.
Right. right. And he did so many great things. He would come in with his wife, Mariana, if I've got his name correct, yeah. And we'd talk all the time. There were people flying through there.
It was a fun,
yeah.
bizarre time.
It was, yeah, right, yeah, very bizarre, right.
Fun.
But at least you knew you were in Hoboken then, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's the paucity of bizarreness.
Characters.
Yeah. We're bizarre.
And now it's just us.
That's it. That's
Couple
it.
more.
That's why
You.
Right.
You and
I don't know
you.
if this is.
I see you out
Yeah.
there.
Yep. Yeah. Such is posterity, right?
yeah.
But
All right, so drumming.
right. So drumming led me to
Asthma.
right. So I always had an interest in soundtracks too, which got me. I mean, there were a lot of great. That's an Elvis.
that.
That's
Come on.
That's in an Elvis imitating band, I think.
For
if I remember,
real?
yeah, because
No, it
we
is
had
not.
uniforms. Yeah,
That is
no
so
lie,
great.
no lie.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's the funny part. But
How
right.
old were you in that picture?
Oh, I don't even want to think.
All right. it's
Yeah,
okay.
you know, because I'll never be that age again.
You were a rock star.
Yeah, well, you know,
on.
we had that thing going on. Well, it takes one to know one. Okay, I mean, come on, Carrie. People know your name. I think your name gets around more. I mean, it would culturally anyway. You know, but if they asked you, you know, what kind of zinc to take, you know, you'd have to defer.
I would
yeah,
be like, you gotta go see
no
Jeff.
contest, no looking Tandra. Yeah.
What about college? Like what?
So college was interesting because I was more exploratory. I mean,
You're
like
experimental.
that's it. That's well said, because that's exactly it. I mean, from the time I was able to watch TV, I used to like to watch the in between the channels
static?
and the static. Yep. And I used to listen to static on the radio, and as it turns out, John Cage, who I met many times in Manhattan, just walking down the street, that was the epoch that we were in. Let's
So
face
cool.
it. Yeah. I mean, so
And maybe like the static helped with the ADD thing or whatever that was.
there was something therapeutic
it
about
kind
it.
of just like
Well,
put you in a zone.
it was intra-frequency, like
Yeah.
it wasn't so.
You were like
Yeah, I was-
contacting other realms.
That was probably it, you know, and that's what I like to do. I mean, when Rand gets the opportunity, he'll show some things that
Well, that's good that you're
I
saying
play
that because
with, yeah.
now I'm understanding your videos more too.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean,
get
it's sort of stream of consciousness, but also it's where the software can either take you or prohibit you from going. So, and sometimes those limitations are good, and other times they make me have to try to send a file to Rand about 60 times
Yeah,
today.
oh, yeah.
So in a panic mode, they should have that in.
Pat says hi, Jeff.
Oh, hello.
I think I missed a few other ones.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. All right, Pat. There we
Hi,
go.
Jeff and Karen.
There we
says
go.
Lisa.
Lovely. So,
So you were in college studying video? Or-
well, eventually I went to school.
There he is in college!
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
That's about the time. Yeah. That's exactly
I
right.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
going on?
A little crazy there, maybe.
That's great though.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
and I actually like to stay in shape no matter what I did at any time. Being a Sagittarious, you like to exercise. You kind of like to be
gotta
active.
move.
You got to move. Yeah.
Yeah, constantly on
Right.
the move.
Yeah. It seems like it. Although that has its drawbacks, you know, periodically. Like tonight when I went up the stairs to check if I turned off a hair dryer that doubles as an infrared type of source.
Oh,
that
I was wondering.
Yeah. No,
So it's
I
like
don't.
I don't see you as a like blow dry.
Yeah, no,
hair.
that would have been a different era, like the one you just saw. But so all of those things though really helped my asthma. So there's a lot of ways to, and so did acupuncture. I remember my first acupuncturist that I went to in Hoboken practically cured I slept for like I couldn't go into work. I was working at the farm and I just kind of started, but because people recommended him there, I think they gave me a pass because I just slept for like 2 days.
Wow.
And really, some correction must have went on because I was breathing a lot better.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, when you're exploratory and experimental to begin with, you're inclined to go in directions that
Definitely.
you'd want to, that you're
Yeah.
not familiar with.
Yeah.
So we've met, right? No, yeah.
You
no,
look
I think
familiar,
yeah,
but-
familiar. Yeah. right. So
Actually,
yeah.
I remember you from Maxwell's, from like the really early days.
Yes.
I don't think even before, maybe before I was in Gut Bang, I remember you as
Really?
one of the people walking around with a pint
Yeah.
of this very dark stuff, which I can't even believe, but I think Maxwell's was the first time I ever saw Guinness.
Yeah, right.
Because, I grew up with lots of beer drinking
Apparently,
in my house,
right, yeah,
but
sure.
it was like Schaefer
Yeah, exactly.
is the
All-
one
I
beer to have.
know, right,
And
all that
so
American stuff.
I wasn't
Right.
exposed to that, but I remember being at Maxwell's.
Funny
like,
you should bring
the
this up.
first times
Yeah.
and going like, what is
Yeah,
that?
right,
What-
and they make a black
and
and
I feel
tan.
like you're one of the people
Yes.
that I have in my head.
And Martha would
Standing
pour a
around
perfect
with
pint,
with
by the
the
way.
pint.
Right? Yeah, yeah, and everybody would regale one another, and like this would go on interpersonally, like every second or third person for 5 minutes or 5 hours, depending on how much money you had to spend there, and if you spent enough, of course, one of them drinks was at least one of them was free.
No,
So yeah. So I mean, I was there, but it was great. It was a great music scene. Let's face it.
How great is that?
Yeah, and I remember you too, and I
Yeah.
remember really a lot of people that have moved out of Hoboken.
I know.
But I
There's
certainly
not
remember.
many of us left.
Yeah, right. No, but I mean, I could still identify people that I know there
Mm-hmm.
because that's a setting that it's there's no substitution
I know.
in your brain for Maxwell's.
You know
That
who
experience.
else sticks out in my head?
Yeah.
And he should be on this Hoboken Talks thing. Michael Hill. I remember like seeing him with a pint. Maybe
Oh,
I
yeah.
shouldn't say that. But
Right.
anyway, I don't
Well,
know if you guys know him.
we've all been spotted,
Anyway,
in compromising.
I think that's like we probably met back then.
Yeah, I think so because I remember.
Mutual friends and
But I
it's
think
all
I
a blur.
It is, but I think I remember seeing you girls rehearsing a couple of times
Oh.
somewhere, somebody's
Okay.
backyard or something like that. Is that possible?
Rehearsing in a
No,
backyard?
I don't know about
I don't
maybe
know.
performing.
Probably.
But the cucumbers were like in the radius of that type of thing. A lot of I mean the bongos, of course. There were a lot of not just overlap, but it was a pylon on Hoboken,
And Pylon, what a great band.
Yeah, another great band. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to all that culture in Manhattan, because you played with somebody. So KCR was from Columbia University. There were really great radio stations back then, even some commercial ones, which I don't recall right now. But I mean, FMU. I'm wearing my colors tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And this, by the way, is
Go ahead, show us.
that's from Signal Culture, a software. It's basically an organization that preserves like experimental video, and
Cool.
that photo on the back is an invention by Namjoon Pike.
Wow.
It's the wobulator, and that's great.
Wobulator.
And there's some of that
Love that.
wobulating going on. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's in that direction, and that's all you can ask for from.
It looks like there's a little wobulating going on
Well,
behind us.
that was done. That was actually done with a different, with a much easier to operate piece
That's
of
a
software.
still from one of your videos.
Correct,
right?
correct, yeah. So so the wobulator you'll see in the 1 minute video that
Cool.
I had to kind of truncate because my home is the home of technical difficulties, not just radio stations. So I mean,
Are you still
it's going to happen.
Are you still working on stuff like video stuff at all, or?
Well,
are you-
not on location, like not to go
No.
somewhere.
But like at home on a computer, like working.
When
on-
when I can, I mean
Yeah.
that got some of my creative not impetus, but energy got a little dissipated by a rent situation that I was
Oh,
in.
yeah.
Which
I like that.
and I should mention,
Go ahead,
yeah,
please.
notable mention to HFHA, which is Hoboken Fair Housing Association, and the new one, which is HUT, Hoboken
Okay.
United Tenants,
Cool.
and they all advocate for not just tenants' rights, but housing rights,
Yeah.
and housing justice. So, and it's real important, and they got me through 7 years. Actually, HFHA did the lion's share of the work because they connected me with people who would represent me, who who would ever think that just renting an apartment would bring you into court
Yeah.
and in front of the rent leveling board,
I know.
several times, 4 or 5 times
Unbelievable.
a year.
That is the most stressful.
It was
thing
an
to
ordeal.
have your
It was
home
yeah,
threatened. That's
right.
that completely takes over your life.
It does. It
Fight
does.
for your life.
Right, and sometimes it sparks. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, look at
Okay.
that. So, and sometimes it sparks creativity because you're just like, I've got to escape into my mental resources,
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
artistic resources,
definitely.
whatever it may be. But you can't count on that because
No.
that threat to your, living residence, your living space, is something that can. It's something that enough people in Hoboken have gone through, and unfortunately. Hoboken is someplace where whoever's defending a landlord feels like that can happen. It's very plausible, very
Yeah.
very maybe less so now with my decision, which was not everything that I could ever ask for, but what is. But at least it worked in the favor of a tenant, and some things have worked that
Thank
way
you
as
for
well.
fighting that. Wow, I don't know if I would have had it in me to do that.
Well,
It's amazing.
you're a longtime resident.
Yeah, and
so
I'm in a rent control place too. So.
right, and
But
you
wow,
and
you're
what-
a fighter. You're
well,
a Sagittarius fighter.
either that or I was too lazy to
no,
be
you're not lazy.
to panic and do something and try to find a place in Portugal. For,
yeah, like,
know,
like where would we be able to
that's
live?
another
That's the
thing. But we didn't move here for competitive housing.
Right.
It's not the joisting that people do around here. For the last maybe 20, 25 years. That's a storied history. And anyway, anybody who knows Hoboken knows that there's been some.
It's a problem.
Yeah. And there's always been a
Beyond
threat.
problem.
Yeah, right. But you keep on going. So, but periodic. So some of the footage that you see, not this one that's behind me, but some of the footage that you see is rescued from just a little bit from that era when
Okay.
I had a little bit more.
So maybe this is
Playtime.
going to get you back into it now that
Well,
you've had
that's-
to
I'll tell
dig
you-
in there, and I that's what I want to happen.
Yeah.
I want this,
That's
this
nice.
whole
Well,
experience to get you back into.
I never
working.
left it alone. I never left it alone entirely. Not for more than a week. But again, your self doubt comes in when you're
Oh, yeah.
when you're thinking, do I need to start storing my stuff in my
Yeah,
brother's
that
cellar?
would that's
yeah,
like so much anxiety. You can't
Yeah.
really
Right.
do anything.
right. But I never gave it up. And to be honest with you, if I can get a grant, I would do it all the time.
Jerry,
Yeah.
can you get him a grant?
Yeah, grant me, Jerry. Can you? So maybe if I wax Shakespearean, but I often
That
say,
always helps.
yeah. Well, when I'm in the store though, when people, for instance, I don't always wax Shakespearean, but when people ask me for like B2 for migraines and that type of thing, I always say B2 or not B2. That's a dyslexic Shakespeare, right? So I'm
great.
a perfect interpreter of that.
That's excellent.
Right. So and I throw a lot of those jokes out there, and I'm surprised I haven't wound up on the sidewalk. More because of that than my rent situation. But
People love you.
well, okay, all right. I love them back.
And you help so many people.
Yeah, and that is the thing. Once you've been able to, address and rehabilitate some of your own
Yeah.
conditions, you really feel like, well, why should
wanna help people.
why should other people suffer? If they can have self care.
Yeah.
So and self Karen in your
Hey!
case, right? Anyway, that's a boom. Bad sonic
Where
joke.
were we? There's so
Right,
many things.
right,
You're
there
so
were, right.
multi-talented.
So, right,
You're
well-
so smart.
Well, I don't know about that, but I
Jeez.
definitely so when I was doing video though, and I wound up investing in a really good video camera. That was
Who
my
was your teacher? And
so there
who
was
was your
so I had a great
wasn't there someone?
yes cinema survey teacher by the name of Robert Foster.
Oh, it sounds
Right,
familiar.
and that led me to doing video, which I always wanted to do when I was hanging in the Lower East Side, because there were always pop up great. Do you remember the garage? You remember him? It was on. It was second.
Yes,
second.
I
and-
think I played there. Actually.
Okay,
Is
I
it
would-
that place that had bands too?
Yes.
It actually was like a gas
Yeah,
station.
it had
or
an
something.
abandoned. It had right.
Yeah,
it had
that
an
was a cool
abandoned
place.
pump.
Yeah.
Or two. That was a
Yeah.
fantastic. And like people would just bring lanterns, and that would be your lights for that. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I said to my brother, so Rob was. He had a little more defined taste than I did. I wanted them to be as least defined as
Mm-hmm.
possible, and I think I accomplished that. But
Was he doing film too, or
no,
just
no.
more music?
Rob
or-
was more music, and also he was into books. He was very into literature at the time. He's a great writer, and that's his métier. That's his thing. So, and I'm glad we both have something, or one of us would feel more inadequate than we already do. Is that okay, Rob? Can I say that? So, that was
So
my
Jersey City.
So Jersey City. So that's where we were
State.
living, and we would go to I'd drag my brother to the Lower East Side, or I'd go alone. Because if you looked like you belonged in New York, you were fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I used to crash at an artist's pad who used to be outside of the Museum of Modern Art. Really strange.
uptown.
Well, he was a squatter, and he had a garage thing, and we'd get a Ballantine ale and just and crash out because we both had to wake up for something the next morning. But we'd be hanging out, and I actually did a video with him by borrowing a camera. But if I had that camera at the time, which I used to tell my brother, Rob, all I need is, I can't afford it, but all I need is just a portable video camera. And they were real clunky back then.
Yeah.
And they just got better and better, but they were never unwieldy.
Right, right.
But when they finally did get wieldy, is that a word? Is that a technical term? That's
know.
not a technical.
Ask
that's
Rand. He's the technical, our
right.
technical advisor.
Right. Well, so that was it. When I finally got a good camera, which I got for my tax return, and probably I threw a few dollars in there, but it was a really good camera, and I would go and I would invite myself to film people's performances, where Johnny Reinhardt, the guy who finished
The microtonal.
microtonal guy who finished one of Charles Ives'
Tell
symphonies.
the people what microtonal music is.
Oh, that's it's kind of like what you'll hear with my soundtrack. It goes between the 12 tones. It actually subdivides to, I don't know, maybe not an infinite amount, but I think they call that spectralism if it does.
Okay.
But there's a lot
So
of tones.
it's like not the Ramones.
No, not exactly the Ramones, and not their 3-chord
Okay.
tunes.
Then forget
Which
it.
I had a good friend though that when I was in semi-punk bands, he loved the Ramones, and it was great to play. It was just great stuff to play. Yeah, but my ear was always looking for
Yeah.
nuance because I grew up. My father had Ravi Shankar, at least one Ravi Shankar. Wes Montgomery was his favorite guitarist. So these people were doing, when they were doing harmonics and that type of thing, they were doing microtones and halftones and that sort of thing. So you start to look for that kind of thing. And Johnny Reinhardt would have microtonal festivals that I would go to, but he'd also broadcast on Columbia University's radio station, where I met Tony Coulter, who eventually was a WFMU DJ. But he used to do a classical show, and it would be more experimental and electronic. So he led me to Ioannis Xenakis, one of his last interviews in the United States, and Tony Coulter is a scholar for any of this sort of stuff. I mean, he doesn't live in Hoboken, and I forget where he lived. I guess he lived in near Columbia. For a while, but I think he moved out to the West Coast, maybe Oregon or Seattle. Yeah.
And you mentioned in the bio Phil Niblock.
Yeah. So
I think I went to one. Did he had that like 24-hour thing?
Yes.
Was it like on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day?
Right.
Or
it was.
where it was like all night.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. It was on the solstice.
On the solstice.
That's right. Yeah,
I knew.
Yes, and I may have even seen you there.
Okay, because I went to one of those one time.
And he had films of Chinese workers and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But what was nice was that it was disjunctive, which is an aesthetic in itself. he would put drones and his own compositions underneath footage that you'd have to make the connection yourself, and that's half the fun if you like that kind of agony.
Yeah.
And I do, yeah. So, but it's not one,
I found it interesting, but definitely not really my cup of tea.
Okay, because it was 24 hours, and he did it every year with a lot
I
of
didn't
the
stay for 24 hours.
no, or 24 minutes for that matter. Yeah, that's okay. But yeah, so he was my mentor. When I finally started to do video, I met some video people in Manhattan. I had some equipment that was probably borrowed from the Center for Media Arts, and he was the guy. He was the go-to. So I would start videotaping some of his performances with like electronic bagpipe and that sort of thing. So he had a lot more going on there than almost anybody in Manhattan, because it was always contemporary, always live, and people that flew in. He had a place in Belgium that was also related to electronic arts. Now, Electronic Arts Intermix is a place where Jane Sturwald, who was the department head, for which Bob was a instructor under her, she made some connections for me to do internships that were just amazing. But I didn't have to with Phil Niblock's, which is experimental intermedia, a perfect name for it. So I would just float in sometimes and say, "Hey Phil, you need any I made it, and I think there were times when I wasn't going to school where I made it sound like, I could really, I could use this for my, and he didn't really care. He didn't really care. But then when I committed to college, he was the guy that they said you have to have a mentor because you're going for a program, and somebody shines for you. Like a lot of people like Martin Scorsese in the media department because he was obviously an excellent filmmaker, but of that type of film. And the editing was fantastic, and that's another thing that got me into it, was being brought up on Dr. Strangelove, which I loved, 2001, which got me into, I loved that movie to begin with because it was abstract, but also the soundtrack was pretty amazing. And that's what made me go to music school, actually, the soundtrack from Planet of the Apes or 2001. Wow. And they're legendary score, people that score.
Yeah.
And then last year at Marienbad, which is something that was one of my favorites because again, Robe Gruyere.
I had to watch that when I was studying film.
And I loved
one that they make you watch.
Yeah, well, so I met Catherine Cloud here, right, who had a cinema background anyway.
Yeah.
And was going more for, I guess, cinema literature, cinema studies, which would have put it into an artistic and sociological context, which is great. I mean, I love, I've always loved theory, and that was great because it got me through that program because I actually enjoyed reading what I was reading. All of those films made me think, they broke out.
So did you ever want to work in film, but you went into video? Because I was just like, I have to work with film.
Right.
Because of the beauty of it.
Right.
The black and white, those old black
Oh,
and white.
yes.
Did you ever want to do that?
No,
or
I mean,
you just were more drawn to video?
No, I didn't like video at first because I thought, like everybody else, that it was derivative of film and a poor stepchild, But and some of the technology was not perfect at the time.
Right.
But then I started to notice that the imperfection was getting.
I mean, it worked for what you're doing. Jeff has some films that we're going to get to see, everybody. Just so you know.
Yeah.
The crowd is going wild.
Yeah.
When do we want to see those films?
But that gives you an idea of where my inspiration was, and how it all kind of came together. Well, I did study at Millennium for a while, which was the Millennium Cinema Theater.
Oh yes,
and they had
I
film.
Completely forgot about that place.
And I loved working with the film that way, but you kind of had to either rent or block out time. And I just, going back and forth from New Jersey, it was like, this is very impractical.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, unless I'm living here and I convinced the guy who was a nice guy, I forget his name, and that's sad because He's one of the big. He's a
Jonas Mekas?
Jonas Mekas was from. I did an internship at Anthology Film Archives,
Anthology.
right, by way of Jane, who kind of, she would make a letter of introduction or something like that. I mean, no formal affiliation at all, except that she knew people from Museum of Modern Art, which was great. I would have loved to have gotten a job there in their film department, but nevertheless, anything to get those visuals in front of my eyes and the interesting detail that you almost would never pick up the first time you're looking at something, which is why film students eventually say, "Wow, this is really this is not just rolling a camera," and they you see that kind of beauty and expertise and all the things that almost aficionado type of things. But that film wasn't for me because of that. Yeah. It was labor intensive.
Well, and it's expensive.
And it's expensive, right. And to get on and to do that, you also, I mean, I used to splice tapes a lot, like regular magnetic tapes. And actually, when I was in, what was it, 3rd or 4th grade, we had one of the first videotapes machines, and it was black and white, and it was really, and the image alone was really cool to me. So that's another thing. All of these things stuck with me because I wasn't only looking at, well, what are the people saying on there? I was actually looking at the aesthetic of the images, the presentation and the screen, which was pretty. There was something really nice about it, which is why video wasn't as bad as it could have been, because there was something really nice about a cathode ray, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, seeing a film in a theater was also a beautiful. It was it was an event.
Yeah.
And that's what was great about film. That's what would make anybody who likes film say, "Oh, I wish I could do this." Because when it comes out like that, it's beautiful. But there were enough anomalies in video where all I wanted to do was break cameras and then shoot with them and see what comes up.
Great.
And and a lot of my work before recently doing this was just collecting glitches that would happen in between shots or on tapes that got folded the wrong way. So glitches got a little bit commercial because now there's apps that simulate that. And
there's apps for everything.
Right, and I do love apps because if you mess around, if you mess them up, they can also produce something really nice.
Right,
if you're using them very, very, conventionally, it's a pain in the ass, And then you try to be good at it, and some people really are. But I'm not. I'm good at a moving image, with whatever is moving with it. But I'm not really good. I can't chronicle things. Some people are really great photographers. I studied photography because I get the principles and I like them a lot. The law of thirds, et cetera, blah. That's all good, and I can think that in the back of my mind. But I can't be that obedient to a discipline. I'm neither obedient nor disciplined. Okay,
you gotta be
so
free.
Forget it. Yeah,
free.
You got to be free. So
to experiment.
Right. Yeah, and the same thing goes for sound. I mean, electroacoustic music, be it from Johnny Reinhardt or.
Do you play any other instruments?
I mean, I dabbled with the keyboard, but I couldn't get enough nasty sounds out of it. So but I did used to say, if my brother and I would go someplace, and my brother would, he was very musical in the. He could memorize. My brother has a photographic memory from the time he was 3 or something. Yeah, he can tell you details, and he really can. So he was better with that kind of musical type of thing, which I definitely appreciate and like. But there's my brother, right? And we had to have you had to have facial hair.
Look at that.
And that's my mom in the middle there.
Aww,
yep.
Sweet.
Yep. So it was fun. It was fun.
The paneling.
Yeah, really. There you go.
You gotta
if that
have
doesn't, place. what an era. That's a family photo. There's my father from Brooklyn. That's Roy Trupiano, Rocco Trupiano.
Nice.
My mom's from Jersey City, so that's Barbara Jean Stanley. So that's her.
Is your brother still living around here?
No, he's in Ramsey. He's got a home for himself.
Nice.
which correlates nicely with his musical abilities
Oh, that's
because
great.
he's able to do that kind of thing, and God bless him, and that's good for him. But he's still, we're still,
You got to get the
unconventional.
band back together.
Yeah, right.
man.
Well, he would love that. Yeah, that's me. I don't remember what the tuxedo. It's all a little blur.
Is that your
really.
brother?
But that's my mom. Yeah, when she had her glasses thing going on, my brother treating me like a little brother right there.
Aw.
Or either that or he's
What's the age difference?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but he'll never fail to remind me of it. So in one way or the other, in action, indeed, if not, words. But so where was I? Where are we?
I don't know where
I
we
know
are.
where. I know
Does
where we are.
anybody
That's-
know what time
Yeah,
it is?
you want to watch a video?
Yeah,
yeah.
let's watch some videos,
light the fire.
This is
and,
good. So now everybody has the background.
Yeah.
When they're sitting
Right.
home watching this Hoboken Talks, now they know.
One of the 8-second versions, or
Well, I think maybe we'll save that for the last. Maybe we'll just blow. That'll be like the.
What's the set list?
The chaser will be the small one, the small ones.
okay.
Yeah, and yeah. So thank you very much. That's a compressed image. This is what happens when you. Technology.
yeah,
it
how
doesn't.
did you do that?
Well, the thing is, I had to bring it down a couple of iterations. I even thought of using my iPhone to watch it on the monitor. But that again, that degrades the image a little bit more. But the idea was that some of that is generated. Some of the images are generated, and other ones are modified to complete unrecognizability. Because that's what some of the software, when I run it through a variety of things, will actually do.
Does it have a title?
It doesn't have a title.
Okay.
Because to be honest with you, there's a lot of other things that I would have loved to have showed that are a little bit longer, a little more immersive. But you'd probably, that's the kind of thing that I'd have to almost bring over a version of it without trying to transmit it,
Yeah.
Right.
wirelessly. I mean,
When did you do that one? Like what era?
So that's
was
a
that?
well, that's a combination of things. I mean,
Okay.
some of them were I don't know.
It's Hoboken.
That's
Do we
right.
care?
No grammar. Pah. So that's not Hoboken. Some of them were maybe 4 years ago. Some of them were 2 years ago. And I just
Wow.
wanted to.
Wow, I didn't realize you were still making videos.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said,
Great.
if I can get a grant, I would really do that all the time because there's so many ways to envision what's in my mind. But don't send the people in the white coats, okay?
So is that
But-
what your mind looks
Yeah,
like?
that is kind of it is. I actually see
That's
those types of
cool.
images,
Wow.
and I try to replicate them in
that's
there.
cool.
Yeah. So and as you can imagine, I mean, sometimes that it's a little dampened or suppressed a little bit because of other things, life. But it wouldn't be if I had a grant or if I had a little bit, if I could arrange my life where, well, for one thing, I wasn't like completely freaked out about where I'm going to live.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit less of a problem, but that
I understand.
interrupts
that
things. Yeah. So, but if there were a little bit more of a time opportunity, I would do that all the time because
Yeah.
it's kind of what I see.
No, I understand. I get what you're
And
saying.
I'm sure that audibly for yourself, there are unrecorded songs that are all.
I'm like,
right?
there's such a backlog
Yeah.
right now. I am going to put a new song out soon, but it was like
And when is that
written
going to
in
be?
2019, and then
Right.
started recording it in 2021.
It's
and
what
then
happens,
didn't-
right?
Life got in the way, and now I just finished it. But yeah, I feel like so unproductive, and a lot of it is stress related and money related and
Yeah.
everything, all that stuff.
That's
I
it.
mean, it's a big thing.
Right.
Most people that are really cranking stuff out, and
Have the
they have some
The
kind
res-
of
resource.
support in some way.
Yep.
And so that's a
Yep.
real issue.
sure, and you'd
It is, and
only.
it's amazing that we're still doing anything. I mean, I feel
I
like
don't
that
know
about
that,
myself.
and
Like,
you know what?
I
And-
can't believe I do
And
anything.
that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me
Yeah.
going because I'm like, okay, in spite of everything, I
Yeah.
did that anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to
you
do.
have to keep doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes you wind up cutting something short that you really wish you could
Mm-hmm.
just go a little bit further, and really as far as
Yeah.
you can go, And
Well, it's great. Your whole life is a work of art.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
well,
Just when we walk into Basic Food and we hear that voice
yeah, and
bellowing
and those
from
great,
the aisle, and those jokes.
Those
and
jokes.
come on.
Those jokes are therapeutic. They're like a nutrient
They are.
in their own sad way, sad but effective way.
What else you got?
So we got this. So these are. Oh yeah. So that was something that again resonated so incredibly with me because there was a time when Stevens. I think they may have even gotten rid of it. There was a time when Stevens had an art department, and the lady's name is escaping me. She was one of the best. She was a great connection. She was at that, and I made sure to visit that because one of John Cage's students, is it David Tudor? I'm not really sure, and I can't read it from here. But he had an installation there, and it was a live installation, and it took up a whole building, and it was just incredible,
Wow, that's
incredible to see. And it was a lot of visuals, some abstract like mine, but more that were designed by some, not the students, but with the technology in mind, and they actually set it up. So they actually found a way to do some very sophisticated technological installations that were artistic. And so I had to go there, and I talked so much. It's a good thing I do sales for a living because who else would I talk to that often?
Are you sure you're not part Irish?
Well, it's in there.
got
It's
the
in
gift of
it,
gab.
Well, it's on my mom's side. Yeah, she's got all that British Isle stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was great, and I was so interested in what they were doing that she said, "Are you one of the panelists? We don't have you signed up." And I thought, I could pull this
You
off.
totally could
I could be a panelist, right?
Oh,
and
man.
then get a connect. But people wouldn't speak to you again. You can only
Yeah.
alias so many things.
Right.
But it occurred to me that so she actually helped me with my thesis project for my master's degree, which is in education technology, which was great, but fleggling. It was it had some good points and it didn't, and some other points that were not so great. Yeah, but it would have come in handy during COVID. But there was a hiring freeze. Right, it was a demand occupation when I went there.
You could.
Well,
you
but
have your master's. You could totally teach.
it comes in handy when people who went to doctors, whose doctors send them in the store, and they want to know something in brief that they can relate to, that has some kind of science-based explanation. And I certainly don't know everything, and you discover things all the time. And you forget things, too, because there's a lot of,
Forget
retail.
a lot of things now.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's it.
Do I need ginkgo?
Yeah, well, no.
Or is there something new?
No, there's something better than that.
Yeah, that's old. That's
Yeah.
like from the 90s.
Well, there's Bacopa, and you should, that I would have you look into.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and we sell it because when you experience these things, you know that informs a lot of the purchases that I make, which is why Basic Foods, just as Farm Boy was, Basic Foods is a little bit of an institution.
Yeah.
Because we carry things that people with, not unconventional alternative needs, can get there, and they can do. It's informed. I mean, it's informed by our distributors, but it's also informed by the people who come in who are asking for things, and then we can fulfill that. I can introduce a lot of new things because I know the categories that people are looking for, like anti-aging and certainly anti-Alzheimer's and anything degenerative. I mean, a lot of people come in there for that, and it doesn't cure anything. But if you're not taking care of your body, you better you want to start and avail yourself because it's there, and that's how I did it myself, and that's how I recommend it. So I'm walking the walk, and I'm filming and I'm showing the films.
Yeah, man. Let's see another one.
All right, and that should probably wrap us up. You think?
And whatever if you want to make a closing statement.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm in
kidding.
court
You don't
again.
have to.
In summation.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, but of course I have that.
Oh,
yeah.
What's that?
Oh yeah,
Jeff?
so that was how do you remember that, man? So that was my friend Frank. That's a high school friend of mine. I grew up with my friend Frank, who formed that band, and I was the drummer in that band actually. And that's the capital of I call it Ulaanbaatar, but I think it's a different pronunciation. I'm not Mongolian, but it is the capital of Mongolia. And Frank had some he had some interesting musicians on there, and he had a very interesting way of composing. He would kind of do it as you played. So no, you need to. Okay, can you do this a little bit? And then he would physically enact it. No,
Play
not
it like this.
Not quite. No, he was like a method composer. He would show you. He'd show you. No, like the toe on my foot.
Like air.
Yeah, like air. Do something like that pipe over. You see the way that pipe goes. That's. So. And of course, if anybody would get that type of reference, it would be me.
Yeah.
Because
you were seeing all those.
Yeah, Frank was a great guy. He passed away very suddenly, and everybody remembers him as, he was a big record company guy. So I mean, he worked for Gem Records, Eno's label for a while. That's another guy who figured prominently in some of my musical
that makes
aesthetic.
sense.
Same with Roxy Music, who I love.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get. I probably played with more bands than I could ever name because
you're a drummer,
right?
That's what drummers do.
Yeah, we're nomadic that way. Yeah, something like that.
You just have to hit things.
That's what brought us to Hoboken. It was like homesteading at one time.
I know.
It's like put a tent up here, and if you put the tent outside the building long enough, you'll eventually live there. It was just it was that kind of thing. If you slept on I would sleep on people's lounges in their backyard if I was a little over Maxwelled, let's say. Right, and I'd wake up the next day with my coat and something else thrown over me. And I'd get to work, which was, the value of being a 20-something.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of amazed, but Hoboken was fairly hospitable because the people could have called the cops on me or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But I remember the Red Apple bus, which always seemed like it was going to disintegrate in a minute.
Yeah.
You could park anywhere, and the bus had to avoid people parking anywhere back on Washington Street when you could.
Right.
So that was to me that was the appeal of Hoboken.
I know.
I mean, the ragtag type of thing. In fact, near here, before this got rehabbed to where it is now, which is still a nice structure, it's still a beautiful looking structure, there was a brewery, and I, being something of an aficionado, I mean, I only basically, I mean, I have a shirt that I could have worn representing that. I basically drink Sierra Nevada Torpedo Ale because I've spoken to the brewmasters.
Oh.
And anytime that I've drank anything, because of my allergies and that type of thing, I really wanted to know everything. So I would call the people up. And back when breweries were actually microbreweries, you'd get the brewer or the owner of the company on the phone. I remember talking to who was the guy from Brooklyn? Yeah. Well, he was a cook too, and so he was the brewmaster. Gosh, he'll kill me if he even sees this.
So wait, what is it called?
Garrett Oliver was his name. Yeah. And so I called. I got him on the phone for Brooklyn Brewery, and I said, "You got to tell me what's in this because I'm really sensitive to sulfites." And he said, "Well, my wife is Swedish, and she's sensitive to sulfites too. You don't have to worry about this with this."
So that's like a really kind of clean, pure beer.
Well, I don't know. It may have been sold now.
Okay.
I know that Sierra Nevada, I can still talk to people or email them because I have those. I made those connections. And they're putting out a sustainable beer. So my interest in that happened when I noticed, it didn't kill me like liquor.
Yeah.
But also, the cleaner the beer, the more agreeable. There's usually higher proof. I didn't have to drink as much. The after effects were not miserable like a lot of beers that are just mass produced and have like really bad ingredients.
Yeah.
So Perry's Organic was here, and I actually thought for a while, let me put school. I'm going to school now. That's great. I'm paying for my own school, which I did through working at the Farm Boy. So I paid for my education because I defaulted on a loan and finally got rid of that. Probably an ex-girlfriend was much more organized about that and taught me how to pay for things. That I defaulted on. So so I did that, and I put myself through school, and I thought, this is a great brewery, and it's gonna take the world. And for a while, organic beers actually were, they were top tier, and they Magic Hat had some, and they were really good. They were great tasting, and there was actually a niche there for a while. And if I had gotten in on the beginning of that, I'd be making videos full time now, because the returns would have been infinite. But they went out of business for some reason. I think because they didn't have national distribution, and you kind of need that. But it was Perry's Organic, and it was so good that I thought, let me run this by my mother and just see what she says. And my she was real conservative that way. Politically, she was absolutely liberal. But in terms of just socially and, how you behaved and all that sort of stuff and career plans, and that's very conventional. So I ran it by her. I said, "Mom, there's this great organic brewery there," and she thought about it, and I guess she looked, inside, what came out of her womb, and she said, "Yeah, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. You might want to try that." But I didn't because getting done with school was like, okay, if I've been able to afford it so far, I should probably just finish it.
Yeah.
Just put the money there and finish it. And that led to a master's degree eventually, which I didn't really use at the time, but it's good to
it's good.
To sharpen
you finished it.
Yeah,
it's good to finish.
That's it. It is, especially
I want to see
for me.
these videos.
All right,
we have
let's
left.
do that.
So-
and then
Because I think we have to.
Should we say goodnight?
I think we should
Yeah,
say
I
goodnight
think
after
so.
with this.
Thanks,
Good night,
Jim.
everyone. Thanks, Karen. I love you.
Love
And
you
I'm
too.
I love it. I'm so glad you did this.
Aw, you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's fun. So that's where I like to begin with.
I like that.
Right, and then I try to improvise on that.
So we have another one.
And do we? Okay. And I would see, try to see where footage would where it brings me, basically. It's a little bit like, like Native Americans when they carve a tree or that type of thing. It has to
Love
emerge
this
from
brain.
it. Yeah, well, I mean, you got to look at art a lot of different ways to appreciate my kind of art, But
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like how you see
Yeah.
things.
So glad everybody could
Thank you, Jeff.
catch me.
All
Yeah.
right, thanks, Jeff, and I'm gonna turn the microphone on over here and say thanks for this great show. It was really fun.
We both jumped.
And we've got coming up, we've got Joe Pantoliano, who's going to be talking with his daughter. And after that, we have Larry Basinski, who's actually spent some time growing up at the top of the Elks Lodge here in Hoboken. We'd like to thank the New Jersey Historical Commission for their support of our efforts here, and the Shipyard Circle, our top donors. You can see some of the starred people there are our trustees. We love all of our supporters, so thank you very much, everybody. Also, Iron State, our number one donor, because they give us this space and more space where we keep our archive. Thank you so much to Iron State. Upstairs here in the upper gallery right now for just a few more days, I think, it says November 9th, but I think there's a closing party on Sunday during the art tour. It's Jackie Post's. We all stop down here. You'll stop too. Just wonderful street photography and some skate decks, as well as some video loops. It's a really great show by our friend Jackie. And downstairs is the Hoboken Meadows. Was Hoboken an island? Well, not really, but it was surrounded in the west by marshland, also known as the Meadows. So come and see the exhibit here at the museum at 1301 Hudson Street here in Hoboken. We love your comments, your likes, your thumbs up, your shares. Please subscribe to our channels here on Facebook and YouTube. And this is Hoboken Talks from the Hoboken Historical Museum. I'm Rand Hoppy, and I'd like to thank Karen Kuhl and Jeff Trupiano yet again. Okay, good night.